The question, how can I be free from suffering, is perhaps the most essential of all human inquiries. It arises not only from pain, but from the intuition that there is something beyond it. A silent freedom, a peace prior to the agitation of the mind. The Aṣṭāvakra Gītā, one of the most radical and sublime texts of the Advaita Vedānta tradition, answers this question with disarming clarity. Freedom from suffering is not something to be achieved in time, but something to be recognized now through the wisdom that dissolves the illusion of separation.
In this text, we will explore the origin of suffering according to Ashtavakra, the recognition of the true nature of self, and the freedom that blossoms in the renunciation of illusion. Most of the content will consist of direct quotations from the Ashtavakra Gītā, as it is in the sage's own voice that the truth resonates most strongly.
Ashtavakra begins his instruction by pointing to the root of all suffering, identification with what we are not. When we see ourselves as body, mind, emotions, or personal history, we imprison ourselves in the cycle of pleasure and pain, gain and loss. O friend, if thy aim in life is liberation, then shun sense objects as poison and pursue as nectar forgiveness, simplicity of life, compassion, contentment, and truth.
But more fundamental than avoiding sense objects is understanding that suffering arises from the false notion of being a separate individual, an I that acts, suffers, and seeks. Egoism in the form of I am the doer resembles a great black and poisonous serpent. The antidote to its poison is recognition of the fact I am not the doer. This knowledge leads to happiness.
The mind, clinging to desires, fears, and identities, generates the cycle of suffering, but the cycle is sustained only by ignorance of the true nature of the self. The world appears as a result of ignorance of the nature of self, and it disappears when the nature of the self is recognized. The illusory snake is born of the absence of knowledge of the rope, and it disappears when knowledge of the rope is attained.
Liberation is not an achievement, but a recognition. The self, the true I, is pure consciousness, always present, unaffected by birth, death, pleasure, or pain. Suffering ends when this truth is seen directly. Thou art neither earth, water, fire, air, nor ether. Know thyself, ātman, as witness of all this, and different from them, if thou wouldst attain liberation. Thou art that consciousness, the supreme bliss, in which the world appears as an imagined object, like a snake in a rope. Be happy that thou art.
Suffering dissolves like a dream upon waking, when it's recognized that all that appears, thoughts, emotions, body, world, are only movements within the consciousness that we are. I am the limitless ocean in which, on the rising of the wind of the mind, the worlds are produced as waves on the sea. From me the world is born, in me it exists. To me it dissolves, as jars return to clay, waves to water, and bracelets to gold.
There is nothing to do, nowhere to go. Freedom is the nature of the self. Suffering persists only as long as one believes to be something other than that. I am pure intelligence. Through ignorance, I have imagined the illusory conditions in myself. Meditating thus, all the time, I am the Absolute.
Once the nature of the self is recognized, liberation requires no further effort. The mind quiets, desires dissolve, and life flows without attachment. Suffering, which once seemed so real, is seen as a mirage. Thou art wholly independent, actionless, self-luminous, and without fault. Thy bondage is that thou deemest thyself to be liberated through the practice of samadhi. The universe is merely a mold of the mind. In reality, it has no existence. Those liberated beings are surely immortal who are identified with reality, which is self-luminous and which needs no support for its existence.
The sage, the one who has seen the truth, is no longer affected by pleasure or pain, gain or loss. He lives in the world, but is not of the world. The man of calm intellect is happy in ordinary life, whether sleeping, acting, speaking, or eating. The enlightened one neither avoids the crowd, nor seeks the forest. Under any conditions, in any place, he remains unmoved.
Freedom from suffering, according to the Aṣṭāvakra Gītā, is not a process, but an awakening. Suffering arises from ignorance, the belief that we are the body, the mind, the doer, the seeker. But the truth is simple and direct. We are pure consciousness, always free, always present, untouched by any experience. Thou art the Lord of the universe. Thou art knowledge itself. Thou transcendest nature. Verily, thou art the Self.
Nothing needs to be done. Simply recognize, I am that, and then, like the sun that has always shone behind the clouds, peace will shine forth by itself. Give up meditation. Hold nothing in thy mind. Thou art free and bliss itself. What wilt thou accomplish by thought?
The answer to the question, how can I be free from suffering, is therefore an invitation not to seek, but to see, not to attain, but to abandon, not to become something, but to be what you already are, silent, infinite, and eternally free consciousness. So, the final contemplation remains. If all that suffers is illusion, and all that is free is what I am, who am I really?